Don't underestimate the importance of the Philippines as a United States ally. It has a vastly more English-speaking population than Japan. Don't underestimate the importance of the Philippines as a United States ally. This is Steve Gibson reporting. A shout out to Tiger Logic for their production value. I recommend them to anybody. Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow as well so that I can continue to provide this content that I hope you will find insightful on current affairs, policy positions, philosophy, and other aspects of the current news regime. The Wall Street Journal recently reported that an agreement between the United States and the Philippines was reached to build a high-tech industrial hub, and this is going to be on a 4,000-acre site, apparently on the island of Luzon. Now, while it's called a high-tech site, it appears also to be associated with mineral development that would also be the type of products that we might get from China. Now, moving forward with the Philippines today is an exciting proposition for several reasons. One is that the current administration in the Philippines has turned into a much more receptive and understanding political force when it comes to an alliance with the United States than what was present with the Duterte regime that preceded the current administration in the Philippines. It simply was not clear what Duterte, the prior leader of the Philippines, was thinking. It wasn't even clear whether he was thinking. It appeared that he was engaged in machoistic tendencies, trying to suggest that the Philippines could become more independent at some level, become closer to China, play perhaps the United States against China, and take advantage of both countries. It was a fundamentally unsound position that Duterte was taking. It was not helpful to the advancement of the Philippine economy. It jeopardized the defense of the Philippines. The current administration in the Philippines, it is clear, understands that the Chinese designs on the South China Sea and the Chinese hopes to be able to potentially not only take over Taiwan, but form a dominion over the area that is currently contested by the Philippines as what is not just international waters, but Philippine waters that are appropriately administered by the Philippines. So the current administration of the Philippines understands that a continued strong alliance with the United States is critical to fend off what are regional aspirations on the part of the Chinese. The fact that this lesson needed to even be learned by the Philippine administration in the form of the changeover from Duterte to the current administration, it is sad to observe. Now, for the United States, having the Philippines as a strong ally is advantageous at a number of different levels. One, it's clear that it remains tremendously advantageous for the United States to have strong relationships with respect to Japan and South Korea. Japan in particular, since territorial Japan in terms of the islands stems so far south as to be adjacent, arguably, to Taiwan, which is why Japan feels that it is critically important that China understands that any adventurism with respect to Taiwan is deemed by Japan appropriately to threaten territorial national interest of Japan. Having a remilitarized Japan is tremendously advantageous to the United States in terms of protecting interest in Asia. So if you basically see Japan, South Korea as a bulwark against the potential troubles posed by North Korea and China, you understand why that northern sector of alliance with Japan and South Korea is so critical. When it comes to the South, we have Australia, and then we have the Philippines, which could be a very complement to the northern alliances of Japan and South Korea. Now, Australia and the Philippines are not as economically vibrant and potentially not as militarily vibrant as what you're going to be seeing in Japan and South Korea. Australia can be fairly militarily significant, and there's no question that Australia and the Philippines can become even more economically significant to the United States. Building up the Australian and Philippine economies and building up the Australian and Philippine military capabilities is going to be hugely advantageous to stem the authoritarian communistic approach on the part of China in reaching out even more into Asia. There are other immense advantages to a continued strengthening of our relationship with the Philippines. The Philippines, remarkably, has over 100 million people in their population. It is, while a relatively small country, it is, for its size, a very large country in terms of population, comparable in size of population to Japan, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize. What many people realize is that, unlike Japan, which certainly is a very educated population, it has a vastly more English-speaking population than Japan. While many in Japan study English assiduously as a second language, and no matter how well educated the Japanese are, they simply do not match the level of English language capability that the Philippine population has. This is tremendously advantageous in doing business with Filipinos and having Filipinos migrate into the United States and become part of our economy. In fact, there are certain key sectors that are providing tremendous advantages in terms of a bilateral relationship between the United States and the Philippines. The United States has tremendous shortages in certain medical care capacities. One of those capacities is nursing, and it appears that Filipinos have a predilection towards entering the nursing trade. That is, coupled with their ability to speak English, a delightful advantage that the United States can take advantage of in servicing that sector of the economy that requires greater employment. Filipinos should be freely admitted into the United States on work visas and potentially given even more incentive to remain in the United States to provide nursing services, given the vast shortages that we are experiencing in that sector of the healthcare economy. In addition, Filipinos are providing tremendous advances with respect to providing data center capabilities in the Philippines to United States companies at low cost. This, while maybe frustrating to some people, is an efficiency and level of productivity that United States companies can continue to take advantage of and provide great efficiencies and bilateral advantageous treatment with respect to data centers, customer service centers, and the like. Another area where I believe we can see some potential synergies is the education sector. Given the fact that Filipinos speak English as well as they do and master the language in a manner that may actually outstrip some Americans, having them continue to enter the under college, grammar school, educational ranks as teachers and instructors or instructor assistants is potentially a great advantage for the United States to continue to pursue. There is no question that also expanding out the Filipino middle class, strengthening the country as a place where, as the economy grows, their own military can also increase in terms of a self-defense structure against Chinese adventurism. All of those synergize together fantastically. So it is very exciting to see that there are the kind of investment activities that are taking place by the United States and other Western countries in the Philippines. It's very exciting that the Philippines is recognizing that alliance with the United States judiciously, productively, is a good thing. It's also exciting to see that a country whose per capita income hovering around $7,000 a year can potentially get into the ranks of having per capita income double, if not triple, within the reasonable horizon that will afford the kind of rational economic development and allowance of the Philippines to become a more universally advanced country where you do not have this divergence between the ultra wealthy in the Philippines, where they may have 3 or 5 maids per household, and then you have the desperately poor in the Philippines potentially making only $3,000 a year per capita. Those imbalances need to be addressed. And given how the Filipino culture and country can evolve into adopting an even more industrialized and higher level economy based upon both American investment and both as well as other Western investment is a fantastic thing. Am I advocating that the Philippines needs to completely divorce itself from China? Absolutely not. There's no reason that the Chinese investments can continue in the Philippines. It is not a mutually exclusive dynamic whereby turning to the United States as a military alliance and turning to the United States as a greater economic partner means that the Philippines needs to completely shut off China as an economic partner. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that the Philippine administration should be very wary of the growth of Chinese military activity in the South China Sea, Chinese potential adventurism with respect to Taiwan, and any notion that forming some type of military alliance with the Chinese is ever going to be a successful path for the Philippines. The Philippines has suffered mightily from invasions by other countries, whether it was the Spanish, whether it was the Japanese, and at some level, and other countries. There's no question that the Philippines needs to be respected as a sovereign country, and at some level needs to be protected. The United States certainly gave the Philippines its freedom and helped the Philippines mature at some level to the country that it is today. Being protected by the United States military against Chinese adventurism is something that the Philippine administration should aspire towards, while continuing to maintain both its military and economic independence, fostered at some level by its relationship with the United States, other Western countries, and candidly, there's no reason right now that a stronger relationship between the Philippines and the Japanese wouldn't be a bad thing. In fact, I think that a relationship between the Japanese administration and the Philippine administration would be a very, very advantageous structure, both militarily and economically. It's exciting to see this news. Please like, subscribe, and follow so that I can continue to bring these kind of observations.